All right, in the first part, I showed you a sentence by sentence analysis of a WhatsApp chat I had with my Cotonou-based client, right? But what I'm going to do now, the actual write-up on which this video presentation is based, you can see it on your screen right now. 3 ways speaking the French language can make you succeed more often. Okay, now let me share the story with you. I'm going to just basically share some anecdotes with you to really drive home the point I'm trying to make, right? The first way in which I found on a very frequent and consistent level that my ability to speak a foreign language, particularly French in my case, could make a world of difference for me was the experience I had in which I was getting a lot of unsolicited support and assistance, even when I least expected it. So I'm going to give you some examples. All right. For instance, I recall that whenever I was traveling and I got to the border, particularly at the Benin Republic end, very often when it came to having our bags checked, your passport requested and all that by the immigration officers at Benin end, one way or another something would happen and I would just spontaneously respond in French to them. Of course, the person was normally going to be speaking to you in French anyway, but if they saw that you had a Nigerian passport, they were most likely to switch to English. But I would typically have responded or even initiated discussion in French, and that would simply just change the tone of the conversation. And quite often I got myself a very kind of warm interaction compared to what it had been before. Okay, and that was one of the ways in which it happened, but that's even a minor one. When I was looking for accommodation, my ability to speak French made a world of difference. Rental documents, things like tenancy agreements, even talking to neighbors, talking to the landlord or landlady. Many times, most of them did not understand a word of English. Some of them could speak a little bit of Yoruba, so you really had to. But the minute I demonstrated the ability that I could speak, then there were often people who would be willing to help me, to speak to the owner of the place about possibly getting a better price and all that, because I would just chat them up, make friends and all of that. That was another thing that happened quite a bit. So I was able to often get some quite good bargains in the some of the houses I rented. Then of course, interaction. As I told you for my story, and I actually lived on campus. These are some of the young men I lived with at that time, and in the same room, on the university campus in Calavi. I'm sure they're all graduated now. Yeah, I think so. So the thing is, at that time, I came up with the idea. Remember I told you that some people were harassing me a lot to teach them French. They kept some of the students, I met medical doctors. I told you about the medical doctor that got me to create something for him to use in practicing spoken French, moving in fluency. And so this, what you see on screen, is what I call the product I created. It was actually my first product in Benin. I call it a quick and dirty guide to English language for French speakers. And funny enough, as you know, I've launched a program now. That's one of the things you're going to see the trailer right at the end of this video, that talks about this as well. So, but they have taken it to the next level now. I've prepared a lot of material now, very uniquely prepared for delivery to business users, business owners in Benin Republic that are interested in learning and practicing or improving their ability to speak English. All right. So what I did here was to create this resource, and people the idea was you would click a phrase on it and you would hear my voice in English saying that phrase, and then in French repeated by one of these young men. That was another thing I did. But they were all very cooperative in creating this because it was helpful to them as well. But it wasn't that I used their images. I took their images out eventually for the final version I did, but this was something we just did for fun in the room. All right. Another story I'd like to share. Let me see if it's here. I think it's this one. Yes, this is another one, but I think it will come in under the next point. So the next point is, apart from the ready assistance I got. Like I told you, at the border I got opportunities. People were just excited. Many times they would tell me, oh, je n'ai pas vu un Nigérian qui veut parler français, and it kept, this kind of things kept happening. People would express surprise on board. I'll tell you more about that in this second area, great opportunities for friendship and learning, because when I was still working in a corporate organization, okay, manufacturing company, brewing company, Guinness Nigeria. So many instances came up in which I got career advancement opportunities because I had different skills. My spreadsheet programming skills alone kept getting me so many career advancement opportunities. I was getting secondments, I was getting, all kinds of things. And at a point, it got me exposure to the UK office and all that, because my stuff had to be sent all the way to the UK to be converted, my programs. So that was there. But by the time I acquired my French speaking ability in 1999, the company did not know about it until I think it was in 2001. That was when the company officially got to know I had somebody in the company, anyway, senior manager. And that was when I went for a course in Lagos Sheraton. I'd been nominated for a course at Lagos Sheraton, and then this was a precursor to another course to be held in Cameroon. Okay, it was a management course. It was a very high performance training kind of. All right. Now the thing was, I wasn't even thinking I was going to get picked to go to the course outside the country, because I was a junior manager among so many senior managers. But I just did what I needed to do. I interacted, and there was a night, I think one of the final days at the hotel, at the Sheraton Hotel. We were at the bar and we were discussing and chatting with the facilitator of the course, one of the facilitators, the main facilitator. I think his name was Donald MacLeod. And somehow we got talking. I'm not a person that drinks much, so to avoid drinking, I kind of tend to talk a lot. So, and I told him the story of how I went to Cameroon in 1999 to practice, to kind of improve my fluency, with the help of my French teacher, Valentine Alaki. He had given me letters to his family there, and I spent some time in Yaoundé and Douala. But I had to come back by sea, and I told him how difficult that was, because I actually came back by sea because I didn't have money, and it was quite a bit of a stressful journey and all that, but it was interesting at the same time. I came back without a cover, but I got back to Nigeria safe and sound, and the way it all happened was just, the creator was just there. And that's how you know when you have it, when you do right and you keep a pure heart and your intentions are pure and honorable, the creator will always lead you right. That was the story. That's a different story for a different video, but I just wanted to say that's what led me. So I got back home, so I was sharing that story, and he was so touched by the story. But I didn't know he took note of the fact that I told him I went to Cameroon to improve my fluency, because he asked me, so did your French improve? I said, oh yeah, significantly. I said, today I'm comfortable speaking French. I can converse in French. And he said, are you sure? I said, yes. I had no idea that he was kind of just sizing me up and checking me out. What then happened was, when the announcements came, I just saw that I was also included in the invitations, and I got a letter inviting, telling me I'd been nominated to go to Cameroon, and there was a hotel called Hotel Aqua Palace, and that was where. What I'm trying to tell you is, I am convinced, because of what was to happen in Cameroon later when we got to the hotel, I'm convinced that it was because of that story I told Donald MacLeod that maybe my performance had also merited my getting included, but I know that made an extra difference. That story. Why? Because when we got to Cameroon, I don't want to tell the story of how I got there and all that. The senior managers arrived a day before me. I came in a day later. All right. But when I arrived, I met them. They had been there for one night. All right. And then I joined them at the management bar by the time I settled down in my hotel room. And I'm in the hotel bar. And I just found out that I was approached by the managing director of. I didn't know he was the managing director then. I just noticed he just walked in amongst us. It was later that people were telling me that I was the manager of Guinness Cameroon. He was an expatriate, a British expatriate, and he began to come. He said, "Tu parles français?" I said, "Oui, je parle un peu." That is, you speak French? I said, "Yes, I speak a bit." He said, "Parlez à moi en français." That is, speak to me in French. And I started speaking to him in French, and we began conversing. And for about 15 minutes, we were going on exchanging, interaction like that. And, everybody was just looking at us in shock. All the other guys were just looking at us in shock. And I know that my colleagues did not know because I never told a soul in Guinness at that time. All my colleagues, nobody. I was always a guy running shifts, round night shifts, and once I was not on shift, I was just doing something else. I never had time to socialize so much. And so people did not know I could speak French, actually. And I've been speaking French for 2 years. I had my Cameroonian friend would take me to his Cameroonian community and all that. There were different pockets of Cameroonians in different places. In Lagos, in Benin, we had them. We used to go and visit them. So I would practice speaking. We would speak on phone. So I had always been able to keep my fluency up. So by the time I spoke with the MD of Cameroon, Guinness Cameroon, and we finished that conversation, he asked me, tu veux partager? And I had never heard the verb partager before, which is to share. All right. And I said, oh, je ne comprends pas, c'est quoi ça? And I said, oh, I don't understand. What does that mean? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire exactement? What does that mean exactly? And he said, oh, okay, don't understand that. I want to share. And then people started laughing. And the man said, oh, don't laugh. He speaks good French. Then he noted that I spoke with a Cameroonian accent. At that time, I don't speak with such an accent anymore, because I subsequently, while moving around with my French teacher, I ran into the linguistic attaché to Nigeria from France, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The gentleman that was sent, a young man, he was in Nigeria, he was a linguistic attaché. So he told me that I should make sure I dispensed with any telltale accents, whether Cameroonian or otherwise, that I should try and very much and use the videos he had given us that were produced by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in which some young French citizens called stagiaires, that they were like interns, were learning to speak the language, that kind of thing. And I should try and speak without so much of an accent, So he told me the accent wasn't very good. So, and that helped me a lot. So he was telling the other managers that no, this guy speaks good French. And then he went and called the human resources manager of Guinness Cameroon and told him, I said, Tom, this guy is a Nigerian, but he speaks French like a Cameroonian. And so that entire interaction turned me into some kind of, if you look at what I said here, this second benefit, that it creates, friendships. Okay, look at that here. Greater opportunities for friendship and learning. Think about it. I got taken across the border. I flew to join all my senior managers to attend an international course in a 5-star hotel in Cameroon, and I was interacting with Robin Shoulders, with senior manager, the managing director of the Cameroonian arm of our company, and then I was conversing directly with him and gaining prestige. Then all of a sudden I get introduced to a senior manager in Cameroon, and he begins to celebrate me and introduce me to other people and say, oh, and people are excited because they had never encountered a Nigerian that was speaking French within the company anyway, that they knew, so. And it wasn't that I was claiming I could, I was actually demonstrating it right there. Believe it or not, by the time we ended that course, it was a 1-week course. On Friday, I think he was the marketing manager, I think either the marketing manager or sales manager, national sales or national marketing manager, insisted, I can't remember his name anymore, on taking me, on kind of hosting me in his home over the weekend. We were to leave by air on Sunday morning, or Sunday anyway, Sunday afternoon. So I think after church. So we allowed the time to we had the weekend to kind of relax. He offered to take me and host me in his home. So for the entire weekend, I was his guest. This was because he found out I could speak French. Do you understand? He introduced me to the family. I lived with them. They gave me, they were excellent hosts. And he took me around during the weekend to different places, introducing me to people. I said, "Mon ami de Nigeria," and he was just going around. He's my friend from Nigeria, just introducing me. This was amazing. It was like I was a kind of mini celebrity. For him, it was a thing of pride. And my colleagues were all left in the hotel, my senior colleagues. And then, one of the things I remember happened also, when I first came back, when I first joined them, before the course started, they complained to me that the night they arrived, they went out to eat. But they couldn't communicate very well with the waiters at the restaurant they went, because the waiters did not understand English. So when I arrived the second day and I had that conversation with the MD of Guinness Cameroon in the lobby, the bar that was at the lobby of the hotel. What's it called? yeah, they grabbed me after they were done, and we were going to go out to eat. They said I had to come with them to the same restaurant because they needed me to interpret, all right, or to translate what they had in mind to interpret, to function as an interpreter for them when they wanted to place their orders, because they found they could not communicate with the waiters and the other staff in the restaurant that they visited. Because Douala is a strictly, to a great extent, mainly francophone city. You are very unlikely to meet most people on the streets being able to speak more than a few basic things in English. That's what most people tell you. I don't understand English. So my point therefore is this: the ability to speak French gave me multiple layers of opportunities for friendship, for learning. Even in the company, there was an incident with the machine called the filter machine, okay, the mash filter machine, produced by a company in Belgium called Mura, and I was able to get access to some previously unavailable formulas for loading of the mash filter. All right, that my senior managers who were in that position, who were the substantive job holders, did not have. The reason why I got access to that was because I built a relationship with a visiting Belgian engineer. Right, Belgium is a country where French is spoken, in case you do not know. And so when the gentleman was in Nigeria and was in Benin City, in the brewery I was at, and I was acting as production manager. I had made friends with him from when I was training manager when he arrived, and I was acting production manager. By that time, when I was acting production manager, I believe he had returned to his company, because when he came, I was working as training manager, but I was now on secondment. And I recall that, this chap was the one who had come to work on this machine, blah blah blah. And as production manager, I wanted to do some experiments to see if I could kind of get better performance from the mash filter by loading it in a different way. So I wanted to know what the capacity was and what kind of loading formula I could use. I didn't have those details. There wasn't any documentation. So I wrote to him and tried to recall the relationship we had, and the fact that we had spoken French and blah blah blah. Apparently he had spoken about me to his colleagues, because the colleague was the one that responded and said he was on annual leave. And would you believe that they responded by sending me all those details that my senior colleagues never had? And by the time I got it and I made them aware I had it, you need to see the way they were all requesting for it. That put me on a different level again. That kind of gave me, some bragging rights in terms of what I did. So I made a world of impact in that secondment, even though it was a short period, 5 weeks, and yet I made that significant contribution. So it was quite an interesting thing. So you can see what being able to speak a foreign language does for you. Because that man, when he was in Nigeria, when he came to do that work on the mash filter, I was the only person that could speak French on the premises. So he would always look for me. He just felt more comfortable with me. Isn't that natural? You are in a place where everybody does not speak your language, and the language they speak, maybe you're not so good with, you're not so comfortable with, or you just want to sometimes feel like you're back home. So the minute you hear somebody else speaking your Yoruba language, you say, yes, one of us, this is my own person. So you want to kind of get close to the person. It's a natural human instinct. That's what speaking a foreign language does for you. It kind of sets you apart from the crowd. All right. The third benefit: foreign language gives you a uniquely powerful competitive edge. All right. And this one again, I'm telling you from personal experience. When you're living amongst people who do not have the same ability, you can imagine how that is going to help you, open doors for you. So this story I told you about the MD of Guinness Cameroon, for instance, believe it or not, one of the discussions that occurred right there during that course, I think it was the next day or the day after the incident where I spoke, where people had now begun to say, Tayo can speak French. There's a Nigerian guy that can speak French. The lady facilitator of the course, there was a man and a woman. So the woman, the lady, I can't remember her name, young lady, she was white. She was the one that proposed right there. Though of course I resigned before then, but I don't know how that would have turned out. She was saying that if there was ever a decision made to have a kind of exchange in which Nigerian managers were to be brought in to serve in the Cameroon arm of the company, kind of to help out, that if they really had a need and there was a kind of an urgency and they wanted somebody that could fit in quickly, she said that she believed that Tayo Sholagba, that myself, because of the skill I had already, that I was bilingual, I could speak French already, I would be the most likely candidate that would get chosen, because I already had the language down, and already I was a trained brewer, I was an experienced manager, and so it's automatic. It just followed that if they wanted to pick anybody, that gave me an edge. So she was the one that said it during the course, and I was just looking at her. I couldn't believe my ears. But like I said, I left the company a year later, so I already had my plans. In fact, when I was being told I was going to go to the UK, before I went to Cameroon, I had already hinted my boss. I said, I'm planning to resign. I have my own plans, and this is what I think, and I think somebody else should be given this opportunity. And he said, no, don't worry, you go for the course. I went for the course. I came back. They sent me to Cameroon. I came back. I still had my mind set on leaving. So even after that course, just a year later, I put in my letter and I did resign. But what I'm trying to say is that you can see the high points that the ability to speak French gave me in my career, and you can see how it whatever other things I lacked, that ability to speak that language put me, in the position where I was able to rub shoulders with the movers and shakers in the company. Think about it. I was talking with senior managers. These were my bosses. These were like people that were 15 years my bosses, even some of them 20 years my bosses, my seniors. And then I was talking directly with the head of the company in Guinness, Cameroon, the MD of the company, an expatriate, and all because I could speak a language. That's all. Not that I had a professor, a certificate, a PhD in the language. I just could speak it. That's all. Imagine just demonstrating that basic level of competence, spoken ability. They didn't ask me to write it. They didn't ask me to read it. Just speak. Because I was able to speak, I got so much attention. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Pick a language. Pick it, choose it intelligently. Look at what you want to achieve. Look at where you want to be able to go. Then decide on the language you're going to study. Invest the time and energy to study. Believe me, it's not easy. Believe me, I will finish night shifts, and then I will run right down after sleeping for 1 hour in my room at home. Run right down to Sapele Road to my friends, my teachers' language school, to go and sit down there from around, let's say around 10 o'clock. I'll be there till evening with him, and then I'll come back again for night shift. I was like that. It didn't matter what shift I was on. I would always make time to attend my courses. I would study my notes. I would practice. At that time, we didn't have all these smartphones and all that. At that time, we had to go to cyber cafes to use the internet. It took a while. It was 1999. It took a while before Guinness started providing. We started having computer. I think it was in 2001 or so that all those things you got to. Sorry, what am I talking about? I'm talking 1999. We had all this internet, but I'm saying that it took a while before we began to use cyber cafes as individuals. Going out, we're going to cyber cafes for most of the part. What we were doing. It was 2001 I resigned. That's what I wanted to say. All right, so I hope you found this useful, and I hope you understood the message. Just get started on your path to learning the foreign language today. And if you like to learn English and you're a French-speaking business owner or career person, doesn't matter, you're working a salary job or you're on your own business, if just reach out to me, we'll talk about it, because I'm going to continue my travels across the West African axis of the continent, and it's my intention that every francophone state I visit, I make myself available to support you. But even then, if you want to interact with me online, we can do that as well. All right, I wish you well.